the floor to you.
And I respect everything that you said, with the exception that a family unit, it should not have. I mean, you actually did say, you said that there should be compatibility, right? And it can't be compatibility if we have a disagreement, and because we disagree, I lose a fight and you hit me in my mouth. Right? Abuse should never be listen to me. I listened to you. I didn't interrupt you.
I just want to say, but I never said that though. Like you're I don't want people listening to you thinking like I said that.
Well, you agreed with the person who said it. You made a full statement. I watched the video, and a man explained his verbatim that if I say something and you say shut up, bitch, nigga, or whatever, and I hit you in the mouth, I didn't abuse you. You lost the fight, because you use terms that would be deemed fighting words, right? That those were, and you said, well, I understand that, because you should not say things if you're not prepared to fight. And I don't agree with that mentality. I'm a man, a strong man. I am a masculine man. I don't agree that if a woman doesn't agree with me or says something that's out of line to me, that I should put my hands on her. I don't believe leading a household requires me to be physically abusive to a woman. I don't believe that showing strength or even in a relationship, that compatibility, that her word should not matter in the household. I believe that I should have the final say, or we should come to agreements about how we're raising our children, how we're doing things. I think that if I'm in a relationship with a woman who respects me, that I've earned her respect, then she will yield the floor and understand that I'm the head of the household. But there are a lot of men who are not men. They are merely males, and they only have control in their homes. Right? They don't even have control in their homes. Only way they have control is because they're physically stronger than women and children. So they go into those homes and they beat and they harm women and children, and they don't produce strong men. They don't produce strong women. They don't have partners. They have people who are in fear of them. And I believe that for years, that's how a lot of when you have conversations with elder women, there are elder women who said, I wasn't in love, I wasn't in compassion, I was in fear. And I lived in this relationship out of fear, right? So no woman or children should be in a household where they're in fear of someone who is supposed to be the head of their household. There should be a unit. So I understand what you're saying. And yes, I believe that a man should be dominant, but I believe that a man should be proven to be dominant. I think that you prove your dominance through intellect. I believe you prove your dominance through compassion, to empathy, to being able to teach, to be able to teach your children. To a woman feels like when she's around you, she's learning something, she's growing. If a woman's around you and because you are unable to teach her or able to reach her, all you can do is beat her, then you have not shown any level of any type of superiority. You are not leading a household. So when we talk about those things, and when you talk about the stats, right, and we talk about, yes, they did. Black people are the only people, they took our culture from us, right? They took all the things. They took our culture. They've taken our religion. I say this all the time. Only thing that we unite in is pain and trauma. When we see another black person in pain and trauma, we all united. Prior to that, I'm black, you foundational, you this and that. We are divided. So what I'm trying to explain to you, that's why that if we're in America and all of the resources are held by the white people, right? If all of the resources are held by the white people and we're figuring out because they understand that anything that you teach us, we outlearn them, and we've done it over and over and over. I've watched, and this is why every 100 years they disenfranchise black people, because what happens is once you teach us the game, we play it better than you. So what they do
May I respond to your earlier point since you're going on to a different point now?
I'm going into what you went into 3 different points. So
okay, I was just asking. I'm carry on.
To what you said. You was talking about how we are divided as a culture, how we don't have a culture, how we don't have religion. So I'm explaining to you what happened. So they know that we don't have religion. So what happens is now that we start to build our culture, we start to come back in congruency, we start to be united, and they see that united. This is right now, there's a reckoning. This is a reckoning for what Obama did. People say Obama, the president, didn't do anything individually for black. He did. But what he did was inspire and motivate more black people to be professional, to be strong. They seen black people in positions of power. So black men said, I can own things. I can be the president. I can be the president of Fortune 500 company. And they began to do that. Black women did the same thing. So as they see that, now you see the reckoning to where they trying to rewrite in America. So I understand what you're saying, but I also want you to understand that this government owes black people. They pay reparations to everybody else. So if we can't get reparations, even in the form of the real reparations that we deserve, and we can't utilize the government money to be able to build and as a foundation, a lot of black, a lot of people do. I know white people who live at their parents' house, right? And they stack up their money. They say, okay, we don't have enough money right now. We're going to put our money and we live at our parents' house for 2 years. And what happens is, after those 2 or 3 years, after they lived off their parents, they go buy their homes and they create a foundation. So I think that if black people were taught that that's what we should be doing with the government's money, instead of trying to say, don't take no handout. No, everybody else is taking handouts and they're utilizing it and they're benefit from it and they're growing. So why shouldn't black people do the same thing?
Thank you for that. Now, I was taking notes as you were speaking so that I can respond directly to what you've said. One thing that I want the audience to take note of, and you as well, is that there is a red herring. You engaged in a major distraction. So the conversation that we agreed to have, and I'm happy to have this additional conversation, but the conversation we agreed to have was specifically about the clip that Willie D put out. And it was a clip with me speaking about SNAP benefits. And then from that discussion, out of nowhere, you start talking about another clip that you saw on my page with regards to a man speaking about how men and women communicate with respect and how that can or cannot turn physical. So I just want everyone to observe that that was a major distraction on that one. And
I don't think it's really a distraction. I think that you talked about the black family. Right. So we're talking about the black family and you say where was the disconnect and how something broke up the black family and how SNAP benefits replaced the man. And I want you to understand that in my point of view, that I don't believe SNAP benefits.
So I didn't yield the floor, and I appreciate that. But that is to bring emotionalism and to pull on the heartstrings. It's not a logical argument, and it's not even a part of what we were discussing. You basically try to position me as someone who approves of beating women and referencing a clip that had nothing to do with the clips that we were talking about. And this is it's almost like a mudslinging tactic, honestly. But I will address it, and I will double down and stand on everything that I've said. Now, one thing I like about you, there are a number of things I like about you, but one thing I like about you is that you're against.
I actually appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And one thing that I know that you've taken a public stand against is blacks murdering blacks, black on black violence. And I agree with you there. In as much as that's the case, we all have to engage one another with respect, and especially women who would claim that they're equal, then you would be treated as an equal. If you wish to be treated as a child or be treated as one who is not as rational, as responsible as a man, then you need to completely submit and be obedient. Now, me, if I had you on one hand and my lady on the other hand, and you said, Marquett, you this, that, and the third, cursing and being vulgar and being verbally threatening, I do my best to give you my worst straight away. There'd be no conversation. If my lady said the exact same things that you said, I wouldn't even take it seriously because she is truly a lady. She's feminine. I know she's irrational, but most importantly, she's in full submission to me. So even if she got emotional for a moment, I would forgive it because we already understand our hierarchy and that there's asymmetry and that I'm above her. So being that I view myself above her, she views me above her, I don't expect her to engage me with an equal level of rationality and of decorum. So I would not engage her physically. However, if I'm dealing with a woman who says that she's an independent woman, she says she's a strong woman, she says she's the same as a man, she's not taking my leadership, we're equal partners. Now, me personally, if I have an issue with a woman at any level, she's gone. There's no need to even play games with it. I wouldn't lift a hand to her. It's not a good use of time. I send her packing. But let's just say in the scenario of an average guy and he's dealing with a woman on an equal basis. Well, if you, Mysonne, say something that would lead you to getting your eye blacked, and the woman says the same thing, and she believes she's equal, then she should get her eye blacked. And it's that simple. Unless you truly don't believe that they're equal. And there's a lot of lies about it's liberal, white woman, feminist ideology. And it's really not about being equal. What it really is about is actually matriarchy and domination. A quick question for you before I carry on. You use the term partner. This is a term that comes from the LGBTQ, the Skittle Guzzlers. Do you accept homosexuality?
Well, I don't have to accept homosexuality because I'm not a homosexual. So why would I have to accept?
Are you pro homosexual? Are you an ally? Like, I'll give you three. Like, I just want to figure out where you're at with it. Are you an ally? Are you against it? Or are you neutral?
I don't have anything against somebody that's homosexual. That's their way of life. It's not my
against,
way.
Neutral, or pro? Or excuse me, I'm sorry, that was wrong. Against, neutral, or ally?
I'm for anyone loving who they love.
You said you're a man. I'm just asking you as a man, respectfully. I'm asking you to make it plain. You know, black folks, we say make it plain. So like, make it plain for me. You're against it, you're neutral, or you're an ally?
I am for people loving who they love.
You sound like a lawyer right now. Now, here's the thing. I'm from LA. I know you're from New York, right?
Yes, sir.
And one thing we could always respect about the two cities, always look at us as, you know, very influential groups of black people. But we always look at you guys as blunt and straightforward. And we like to think that we're very honest, especially if you come from the lumping class or the underclass or the criminal class. Now, in my neighborhood, you ask a nigga a question, he's just going to tell you flat out. Like, I feel like you're going Jesse Jackson on me right now, bro.
No, you feel like that I'm not giving you what you want to give me.
No, you're going Jesse Jackson. I just asked you, like, you from the Bronx. I just asked you, like, are you against it? Are you neutral, or are you an ally?
Once again, I'm going to say again, you don't get to explain to me how I answer a question. You asked me a question, and I said I'm for people loving who they love.
Okay, that's so you're okay with a grown man loving another grown man.
Being okay with if that grown man is okay with loving that grown man, that's his decision. That's not
okay. Got you. Understood. Now, so that's why I used the term partner earlier. So this kind of ideology that you believe in and that you're sharing, this is the ideology that's extraordinarily destructive to the black family in particular, and all families in general across all of the racial categories, racial and religious. Because number one, you're talking about independent women, and then you're talking about love. Families are not about love. They're about compatibility, business, moving forward, surviving and thriving. That's what it's actually about. And then when you talk about, you ask the older women, they weren't happy. They weren't in love. That's fine. Grandma had 9 kids, and it was very common that everybody's grandma and great grandma had 5 kids, 6 kids, 7 kids, 8 kids, 9 kids, 10 kids. Apparently, things were doing all right. You see, what you're describing is the unruly, disobedient nature of woman in general, but particularly a woman who's traumatized, particularly a woman who's unprotected. A woman should not be leading herself. And what has happened is that they've led themselves to destruction. They think that they're thinking clearly and making good decisions, and they're not. And we can see all of the outcomes as a result. And it's shown up in all of the bad things we've been seeing happen, particularly in the black community. Now, another thing that reeks of this white woman liberal ideology, you brought up Barack Obama, who, number one, is irrelevant to the conversation. Number two, he's not done a damn thing for black people. I find it offensive. Number three, as a foundational black American, he's not one of us. He doesn't have the same heritage. And number four, he did more for the LGBTQ because he actually passed legislation and went to bat on their behalf. I find him to have been a stain for black people. Did I vote for him the first time around? Absolutely, because just like most of us, I was swept away. I was swept away with seeing my image reflected at a high level. And then I realized, oh, he's not like us. He's not like us. And many of us are lost. I am the souls of black folks. Black people have the highest level of religiosity in this country right here. And that's because black people are people of spirit and rhythm. And that's all of us around the whole planet Earth. We're deeply religious, spiritual people. And if you go to the continent of Africa, for the things that you said you're okay with, the LGBTQ stuff, there's capital punishment in many places. There's a death penalty because black people, that is against the souls of black folks. And you're a hip hop head. You may remember the time when hip hop was black, when hip hop was positive, when hip hop was political, and when hip hop embedded our culture. And you would hear people say things like no homo, or you finish battling somebody, especially in New York, and you would say, and I can't even say the word right now, That's all been ripped out of our culture by the liberal whites. What they did was they commercialized our culture. They put it on social media. They put it on Netflix. And then they told us who we are. Before, they used to observe us in our ghettos and then reflect our image in Hollywood. But now Hollywood tells us who we are and then we follow it. And that's how you get a Lil Nas X. And that's how you get Mysonne, the general, telling me he can't speak up straight like a man and say, I do not condone the abomination of a man laying down with another man, especially a black man, because that reduces our population. The black woman aborts more children than she gives birth to. Her birth rate is like 1.9. You need a birth rate of 2.1 for replacement and for growth. And we cannot have all these people, males laying with males and women laying with women and black women abort children because we are being reduced. You talk about reparations. You say the government owes us something. Maybe they do. But one thing I can promise you is they ain't giving you a damn thing. You ain't going to get 40 acres. You ain't going to get a mule. What I'm doing is I got Burton Plantation, 62 acres. We're giving out 2 acres, $30K. It's a hell of a deal. And building a cooperative community where we have farming and all of the things that you need for your children, including homeschool. But what I'm not about to do, I'm not about to wait for a government that I already know hates me. Because goddamn it, the government hates the white man too. He ain't doing a damn thing for the middle and lower class white man. Why in the hell would he do something for me? So I tell you this, logic. I asked you, what's more important, short term or long term? You said long term. Dig this. If we believe that the black man in America, the black family is owed something and we want to get it, you have to get it through force because that's how it was taken. It was taken by force. Malcolm X, one of your New York brothers, told you, you can't ask to get free. You got to take it. So if we want to be able to compete, we need population. We need education. We need religion. We need heterosexuality. We need unity, leadership, and patriarchy. The things that you're talking about being a partner and focusing on love and not having reproduction, those are all things that destroy us. And that's what's happening right now. There will be no reparations. We have to build up our population and take the reparations by any means necessary.
So a lot of what you said I agree with, and a lot of what you said is false, in my opinion. Right? First of all, I don't have a white liberal mentality. White women, I've probably been around 1 or 2 white women my whole life. I've been around strong black women who were probably smarter than the men that they were around. I've been around strong black women who were smarter. My grandmother was smarter than most men I've ever seen. She was stronger than most men I've ever seen. And my grandfather was stronger than her. But he never put his hands on her. He never put his hands on her. And she talked crazy. He never put his hands on her. He was a man. He was a strong adult man. And he never felt like he had to overpower her or take or diminish her power for him to be great. I don't feel like I have to diminish any woman's power around me. I'm around strong, intelligent, beautiful, smart black women every day of my life. The most powerful black women in this country every day of my life. And I don't mind following them in certain situations. They follow me in certain situations because they know I'm strong enough to lead. And any leader is strong enough to follow. And if you think that you have to lead in every situation, then you've never really been a leader. And that is what you call a weak man's mentality. And it's a weak men mentality. It's not a white woman liberal. It's a weak men's mentality to believe that every room he's in and every time he's around a woman that he has to be in some position of power. No, I've been around women, like I said, who are stronger, who are doing more, who are more educated, who are more or more artistic, who are more theological, who lead better, who are organized better. I've been around those women in my life, so I understand what that is. So when we talk about women, I understand that from my perspective, not from the white woman's perspective. When we talk about homosexuality, I've never seen a homosexual stop being a homosexual because I didn't like it. Right? I was a 20 and 19-year-old person. My father was so anti-homosexual that he used to beat homosexuals up. I grew up until I was a grown man. I started having conversations with homosexuals and realizing that the same way that I loved women and the same ideology, some of them was crying because they wish they weren't homosexual. Right? Understanding that they believe that this is who they are. I had a different understanding. I don't have to agree with someone else's lifestyle, but I don't have to impose upon it. And because you kill and you make a law that says homosexuality is forbidden, it's not going to stop people from being homosexuals. Because you don't call a person trans, they're not going to stop being trans because you don't like it. So what you should do is build your tribe, raise your kings to be kings, teach them what manhood looks like, and raise them in your own image instead of worrying about what someone somebody else is doing. I don't have to kill you or impose upon your ideology or your life or your culture for me to be strong, because I'm a king in real life. So when people see me, they gravitate to me because I lead. I can go into the most dangerous communities in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Chicago, anywhere, and be treated like a man. I make people put their guns down because I move like a king, and that's what power is. So the ideology that you think that we have to impose upon people who are weaker than us, who have different ideologies than us, is not manhood at all to me. I think what's weak in our community and what women stop having respect for men is because they see men think that you got to rule because you're more physically stronger than them. Men are not all men are not mentally stronger than women. Women have dealt with more pain and been through more shit. My mother went through more shit than I've ever seen any man go through. So you're not going to tell me that men are just all the way stronger than women. That's not true. Physically, yes. And most of these weak men who don't have nothing else to provide but strength want to physically impose themselves upon women. And that's not manhood to me. So I always stand up against that. So yes, we have different ideologies. I do believe the black family should be led by men, but it has to be led by men and not males. Just your physical anatomy does not make you a man. Because you could put your hands or physically do something to me doesn't make that you're stronger than me or you have some level of hierarchy over to me. When you want to be a man, lead with your mind, right? Because if you look at the strongest people in the world, Hitler was 5'3", he led with his mind. If you look at people who had people that followed them, they led with their mind. So I understand that the strongest tool on a man is his mind, and a woman will submit to a man who has a mind. I don't have to hit a woman to make her do what I want her to do. I don't have to impose my will for my woman to do. And if you're in a relationship, and if you're in a marriage with a woman, so since you don't like the term partner, if you're in a marriage with a woman and you can't get her to submit to you because you are strong mentally and she believes in you, then you're in the wrong relationship, and you should find you another relationship. You should not stay there. You should not impose your will upon that woman. You should not threaten that woman. You should not have to do all of that shit. Your kids are supposed to follow you because they see strength in you. When you are a strong person, people see strength in you. You don't have to impose anything. And that's why we're in a system with an oligarchy and a fascist who thinks that because he imposes his will upon somebody and say, you can't be that and you can't do that and this is with this, and that's why the world is rejecting it. This ideology that you have, the world is rejected. So you can keep on going with it if you want to, but the majority of the world is rejected it. If we want to talk about building up black families, we have to build black unities in respect and in partnership and identifying the strength in women, finding you a partner who is equally yoked with you. When you find a woman that you can look in her eyes and she sees the strength in you, you know, the movie I like 300, right? I like 300 because that man used to go to he was the king, but he looked at his wife and everybody knew who he was the strongest person there. But he looked at her and she gave him the head nod, and he respected her and she respected him, and she was willing to die for him. So this is what a family unit looks like to me. I don't know what y'all look. I don't want to be in no family where it's just a business and you doing what the fuck excuse my language. I apologize. You weren't supposed to coach. I apologize. And you're doing what I say because you're physically scared of me. Or I have to impose rules upon you that goes against your moral compass for you to be with me. So if that's the type of society that you think we need for black people to win, I don't want to be in that society. I want to be in society where people are here because they want to be here. I don't want you to be in my community around me out of fear. I don't want that. And the real kings and people who really led that I follow, they didn't need that. So, you know, that's what you believe is going to bring black unity back and black community back and black foundation and family back. We just have two totally different ideologies. And I respect yours, but I'm standing with mine.
Again, I want everyone to note that Mysonne again has suggested that I've promoted laying your hands on women. I've never done that my entire life. And I also, you're interrupting me at this time, sir, if I might complete a sentence. I've never done that in my entire life. I've never promoted it. I've had no experience with that. And this is how we know for sure that you're representing the white woman liberal ideology, because the main thing that you hear them talking is this, right? Because may I complete a sentence?
We said about respect, right? So stop equating me with anything that has to do with a white woman. All right. So just
Well,
say
it's their ideology.
no,
You see,
it's saying a liberal.
it's their ideology.
I would take a liberal ideology, but don't equate nothing that.
No, they're the ones. We're in a matriarchy.
Once again, I've explained to you that I've never
We're
been a white woman, so I don't have a white woman.
You don't have to. Even if you're around black women, even if you're around black women, you're still around liberal white woman ideology. That's what you're not catching up with. Black women today are the result of liberal.
My mother hated
all.
You
keep on speaking while I'm talking.
because what you're doing.
I didn't interrupt you like this.
But you're not interrupting me.
I didn't interrupt you like this.
You're saying things that we already started.
I didn't interrupt you like this.
Respect.
You were positioning me as a woman beater, and I didn't even interrupt you.
You said something.
You positioned me like I'm Ike Turner, and I let you keep going.
I didn't say you. I said the ideology that I didn't say that you ever put your hands on a woman.
I never said that's my ideology. You can go to thesassin.com, THESASN.com, and click what is Marquettism, and you won't see one thing about laying a hand on a woman. So that's not my ideology.
You said that in this conversation. You just said if a woman speaking to you like a man and she feels like she's equal, then I will punch you in the face. You said I would black your eye.
I did not say that.
You said if
you're
you
incorrect.
said certain things.
And this is again, you find this with the Democrats. This is mudslinging. You didn't say that? This is mudslinging. So is what this is. This is mudslinging.
So explain to me what you said then.
So you have to calm down and remember the fact that I had the floor. So you don't interrupt me and then start asking me questions while I'm talking. So first you interrupted. You said you were clarifying something, and then you went. I've not tried to disrespect you. I've not tried to disrespect you.
It was disrespectful.
No, you're letting me know that you're offended by it, and that's fine. Sometimes we'll get offended. I'm offended by the fact that you are suggesting that I promote the idea of laying a hand on a woman when I've never done anything of the sort. Oppositely, I recommend people to leave the woman if it ever comes to anything like that. So yeah, I find that offensive, but not so offensive that I become emotional like a woman and then start interrupting. There have been times that you were talking and I said, may I ask you this?
You see what I mean? You're going back to the same thing. And this is what I'm saying.
Why do you keep interrupting?
Because you're saying I'm being emotional like a woman. And I'm telling you, I'm explaining to you this. So that because we can stop the conversation. If you don't think that you can move forward without comparing me to a woman, then we can stop.
No, I'm telling you that we're all in a matriarchy right now. We're in a matriarchy, which is a female-led society. And in a female-led society, women control the culture and the ideology. And what I'm expressing to you is that I believe you are victim of that ideology and that the ideas you're sharing with me reek of that ideology. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. The male versus the female, we have a different nature. For example, females tend to be ones who want to bring people together. They're more accepting and they're all about equality. Conversely, the quintessential male personality and psyche is more about hierarchy and inequality and establishing dominance.
Well, who said that?
This is psychology. We can read all of the basics in psychology. There are traits that are typical of the human female and the human male. For example, being neurotic. That's more of a female trait. Being dominant, that's more of a male trait. There's even a book written by a woman. And for those of you who would like to check out the book, you can find it on Amazon.com/shop/The Saint and the Sinner. And it's written by a woman. And it talks about how women in corporate can fit into male culture because male culture used to dominate in corporate, and that's changing. And when you look at HR, it's mostly women. Why? Because that's a perfect job for women because women have different wiring than men. And just the fact that you're questioning me on the differences between the male and the female, this is gender feminist ideology suggesting that we're the same. We're not the same. Now you ask, why am I suggesting that you have feminist mentality? It's because earlier you went out of your way to describe, I know so many women are strong and, my grandmother was stronger than so-and-so. And the guy from 300, King Leonidas, couldn't make a call without looking at his wife. And you've gone to great lengths to explain that the woman has to lead at some point. And what I'm telling you is the good news for you is that what you believe in is dominant right now. It's dominating right now throughout the Western civilization. And that is why Western civilization is in decline. So I'm going to get back to my earlier points before I was interrupted. And again, I want everyone to know, for those of you guys watching, I want you guys to know, like, to be honest with you, if I saw the gentleman in real life, I probably wouldn't have this conversation. I'm having this conversation where we're kind of splitting apart ideas. But if I had this, saw the brother in real life, I probably want to sit for a meal or hear what he has going on or go check out his organizations, things like that. I wouldn't debate him. I'd more so be interested in where do we intersect and how can we do some work together. I just want everyone to know that for the record. And furthermore, I want people to know that I wouldn't disrespect him to his face, because I do respect him. So for everyone watching it, I don't think that, he's someone to be disrespected, and I don't intend to disrespect him. He may feel disrespected, but I don't have any intention of that. I have respect, but I have very strong disagreements. Now, if there was a revolution popped up, hell yeah, I'm gonna have to run you through with a spear, you dig? But as it stands, we just disagree and we're pulling apart our ideas.